Robert Plank Show, episode 371, High Performance Habits. How to be at your best, always be creative, deliberately focus on energy, and level up with Nina Amir. Hey everyone, and thanks for listening. We're talking right now with Nina Amir, and she is known as the Inspiration to Creation Coach, and she helps a variety of people, including writers, dancers, conscious entrepreneurs, combine their passion and purpose so they move from idea to inspired action and positively and meaningfully impact their lives, their teams, and the world. And she's a 9-time Amazon best-selling author of books such as How to Blog a Book, The Author Training Manual, Creative Visualization for Writers, and Navigating the Narrow Bridge. So, Nina, glad to be talking to you today.
Thank you. I'm honored to be on the podcast.
Awesome. Well, honored to have you on as someone who writes a lot and knows about creativity. And so, I mean, what's sort of on your mind these days as far as all the stuff that you do?
It really is high performance because we can talk about creativity. We can talk about writing books. We can talk about starting a business online or off. We can talk about anything, improving relationships, health. It doesn't really matter. If you don't have high performance habits, then you're going to struggle. You just are. And so to me, that's the foundation for everything. So that's what's on my mind most often, no matter who I'm working with.
Okay, so high performance habits. What does that mean exactly?
So, I'm a certified high performance coach, and what we focus on in high performance is clarity, energy, courage, productivity, and influence. And to get those, you really have to master your psychology, your physiology, your productivity, your persuasive skills, and your influence, as well as purpose and presence. And so, some of the habits, like for clarity, habits could be something as simple as spending time every day or every week asking yourself some questions about, what's next for you, what's your priority, what's your mission, how do the things that you're doing correspond with that, how do they sync up with it. And also, how can you level up? How can you go to the next level? Because high performance is all about, it's not peak performance, not getting to the summit and sliding down into the valley and climbing back up. It's about getting to a peak and then going to the next peak and the next. And that takes, for instance, clarity. It takes energy. A lot of times, especially if I'm working with writers or entrepreneurs, they're not thinking about energy. They're not thinking about their physiology. Am I exercising? Am I meditating? Am I eating well? Am I sleeping enough? They're just going for it. And what they don't realize is that then they can't function their best. So it's these kind of habits, getting enough sleep, eating the right foods, exercising, moving your body. These all affect your productivity and, the ability to succeed at whatever you're doing.
Super cool, and I'm glad that we're on this subject because this has been the kind of thing that's on my mind lately. And I don't know if I'm similar to a lot of people, but I probably go a few years without even thinking about this stuff, and then I realize, oh geez, I better like kind of be at the top of my game. And I think back to when I was in my early 20s, I would I'd sometimes stay up for a day or two at a time. I'd stay awake till 4 or 5 in the morning, and then wake up again at 11. And I fooled myself, and I told myself that because I was working these long hours and I was staying up these super long periods of time, I told myself that I was getting a lot done. And then I compare it to now when like I'm doing lots of walks during the day, I'm doing lots of running, I'm eating a lot better, I'm drinking lots of water, I'm doing maybe not as much meditation as I should, but definitely a lot of just kind of waking up early and enjoying that quiet time and doing that goal setting and doing all those things that we hear over and over again, but a lot of us kind of forget to do it. And so, I mean, is there a reason why that is? Is there a reason why like there's all this information, there's all these helpful things out there, but like so many of us just kind of forget to plug into it?
I think it's just not talked about very much. But as Brendan Burchard, who is the real expert on this and who trained me, would say, common sense isn't always common practice. I think we know these things, but we have this culture which has generated a mindset that being overly busy is a good thing. Being able to say I was up till 1 in the morning doing such and such, it's like there's approval for that, right? So we get into this habit of thinking we have to stay up late and work or get up really early and get right to the desk, and we have to be running all the time, and that there's some medal we're going to get for saying, well, I don't have time to exercise, I don't have time to walk, I don't have time for anything but my work. And we need to shift that. So I think that's why I think it's a common sort of a common thread, a common mindset in our society today that we should be overly busy, we should be feeling like we have no time for anything. And so we stop focusing on that. We stop focusing on energy and physiology and all of that. And it's to the detriment of our creativity and our productivity and our happiness and enthusiasm and joy, all of it.
Yeah, and I can definitely relate to that, to just like being kind of getting stuck in those bad habits and that pattern of just putting out fires and not thinking any further than a week or two ahead, and not really having like just the time to think, the time to kind of make decisions, or to think back about past successes and failures, and like, what kind of things do I want to avoid, and what kind of things worked in the past, but I was, so busy back then in the moment that I forgot about what worked that I should kind of repeat. And so, I mean, if people are sort of stuck in these bad habits, I mean, what's the starting point? Like, how do we start to break these habits and form some better ones?
Well, the easy thing to do would be for me to say would be coaching, but bar that, I would say first focus on energy for sure. I would be creating a new habit. So how do we get rid of the old habits? We create new ones and we deliberately focus on them, right? So that we are developing them. So the first one would be more sleep. Most of us need 7 to 8 hours of sleep. This last 4 days, I had to get up early for a bunch of things, and I'm feeling it today. I didn't get enough sleep for the last 4 days. So sleep first and foremost. Make sure that you're going to bed at a time that allows you to get up. Get up and have had 7 to 8 good hours of sleep. Then movement. I would just say, create time, even if it's like you said, a walk. For a lot of people, they're not even doing that. So just schedule, what I usually say is schedule your work for like 50 minutes and then get up and stretch or do jumping jacks or take a 10-minute or 15-minute walk, something. But your question really was, how do we change the habit? And it's by choosing new ones and committing to them, to actually committing to do something differently. So for that to happen, you just really have to decide. You have to get clear on what you want and how you're going to create it. And for most people, that comes with the clarity part of it. So sit down, journal, ask yourself, what is it that I really want, and how can I get there? How can I actually what do I need to do? So if I get up every day and I'm tired, and by 3 o'clock, all I want to do is have a nap, and I've drunk 4 cups of coffee, well, okay, how are you going to do something differently? You're going to go to bed early. You're going to cut out that coffee because it's not helping you. You're going to begin to meditate in the middle of the day. You're going to maybe take a power nap, or you're going to go exercise to raise your energy. But this is all a matter of choosing something and sticking with it. And there are a lot of studies out there that say different things, 30 days to develop a new habit, 60 days to develop a new habit. I usually say if you can get through about 40 days, you're pretty much on track to have a new habit. But you just have to be deliberate about it and make the decision and get clear, get that clarity about what it is you want and what's it going to take to get there. Choose it, commit to it, stick with it. So I think that answered your question.
Yeah, it did. So what I'm hearing is sort of, get ahead of the problem and be proactive. And if you say like, oh, well, I'm always tired, then choose ahead of time to go to sleep earlier, do some of that meditation, take a nap. Don't, if you're super caffeinated, don't get super caffeinated in the afternoon as well. And so a lot of these sorts of things are making sense here. And like, one thing that I've been trying to get back into is that whole habit from like Think and Grow Rich of, writing down your goals at night and then waking up and writing down your goals again, and reading them out loud in the morning. And like I keep kind of falling out of that habit, and I keep getting back into it, knowing that if I can stick with it for those 30, 40 days, then eventually then it'll be work to not do it. And so having said all that kind of stuff, do you have like a certain like routine in the morning to kind of like start the day right, these sorts of things, or is it just like whatever happens in the morning? I'm kind of curious about what your morning routine is.
So, I don't know that morning routines are quite as important as we make them out to be. That said, I get up, my mornings vary a little bit, but not just by um, happenstance, I wouldn't say. So some mornings I might be getting up and going to exercise, right? And then coming back to my desk. A lot of mornings, I'm a person who can show up at my desk first thing in the morning and get a lot done right off the bat. But I have some rituals. I prefer, if I can, to stop when I walk into my office. I have some candles I light. I set intentions. I might meditate even for just 2 to 5 minutes just to clear my head. I do, as you like you, I write down every night. I write down what I'm grateful for, and I think about my goals and what do I need to do the next day. What was my win for the day? What was my loss for the day? What could I have done better? That sort of thing. So then when I wake up in the morning, I try to look at that again. Okay, so what am I, it's like before I even get out of bed, I'm thinking, what am I grateful for? What are 3 things I'm grateful for? And then as I'm getting ready, I'm thinking about the day. What is it I need to do? What pitfalls might come up that I might need to look out for? How would I handle them? What are my main priorities? So when I sit down at the desk, I've actually, the night before, I have a one-page productivity planner. I've already looked at that before I went to bed. I look at it again in the morning, and then I sit down and I start to work. Unless it's a day where I have an appointment or I've got to, going to the gym in the morning, something like that. But if not, then I sit down at my desk and I go for it, because in the morning I'm awake and I'm clear and I'm energized and I'm ready to go. So for me, I like to get that productivity in early, but I have already done the thinking through of all of it. So I think that answers your question.
Yeah, yeah, it does. So basically, you have this this bullet journal. Sounds like you have this system, so that way you have the next day planned the night before. That way you can just hit the ground running, and then in the morning when you come in, and depending on what you have going on that day, you do the candle lighting, the meditation. You just start doing those productive tasks, and I can definitely relate to that. And that's one of those things where I used to tell myself that I wasn't a morning person. I was like, oh, I'll just wake up in the morning and I'll get things done in the afternoon. But then I read all these different studies about how, like, I guess there's some chemical in your brain that you wake up with a lot of it, and then as you make more and more decisions, it kind of runs out. And then there's also some other study I read the other day about how, like, people who commute to work, someone who like drives like an hour or two to get to work, ends up living the rest of the day a lot dumber, just because that 2 hours of driving sort of, number one, kind of took out some of your decision making, and then number two, like, driving is kind of like a not a very mentally active activity, so people kind of spend the first 2 hours of the day just sort of zoning out. I mean, it's almost like if you rolled out of bed and just sat in front of the TV for 2 hours and then said, all right, I better get to work soon, and it's like it's kind of hard to wake up from some of that sluggishness. And so I can definitely relate to kind of, planning the next day, starting the day early, and having just all those success habits that, like you said, like we've heard about them over and over, but it's easy to go a long time for those things to be not talked about.
Right. And yeah, I want to add to what you said, because it's very important. So we get into decision overload, and then it's very hard to make decisions. So yeah, I think that if we're having to make a lot of decisions in the morning and the afternoon, it's tough. That's why for me, I prefer halfway through the day to do my exercise, because during exercise I can kind of zone out, but you don't want to be on autopilot. So it sounded to me like you're talking a little bit about, it's possible to be on autopilot, get up, sit, watch TV, that kind of thing. And even being on the subway or, commuting, you can get into autopilot, and then it's hard to shift out. And I find sometimes that if I do go and meditate first thing in the morning for 20 minutes or something, then I have a hard time gearing back up. Like, I've kind of calmed all my systems down, which makes it you clearer and makes you more able to make decisions. But sometimes that's just not the energy I need to bring to my desk. So I prefer to get a bunch of that decision making done, do some work, all that stuff, and then take a break, do my exercise, maybe, when I'm done exercising and I'm stretching, to do a little bit of meditation, something like that, because it regenerates me. It gives me more energy for the afternoon, and it gives my mind a break. Sometimes we need to just shut off for a little bit in the middle of the day so that we have that energy and the mental clarity to keep going in the afternoon.
Oh yeah, and I definitely like, I don't go to the gym anymore. I do like outside running, but I used to go to the gym and like I would just like hit the elliptical, do like some low impact stuff, and I would love doing that in the middle of the day when there's hardly anyone there, and especially I would love to do that if I had something sort of outside of my comfort zone coming up. So like if I had to sort of pitch on a webinar that afternoon, and I kind of had to be like 100% present, it was good to kind of get that motion going, and then like you said there, kind of shut the brain brain off and just kind of let the subconscious kind of give you those weird insights that happen from taking a break, from exercising, from moving around, all that fun stuff. And I noticed that sort of as I get older, I'm still 32 years young, but I definitely know my body and my productivity a lot better than when I was in my 20s, and I definitely know like when it's not working, when I've just been sitting at the computer for an hour or two and I'm just trying to power through it, and that never works. And so that's definitely a big sort of takeaway for me that you reminded me of here. That I used to just kind of not know myself and not know my body and my mind and that sort of linkage early on. And so that's a really good kind of reminder there. And so, as I'm kind of hearing about all these things that are working for you, that you're doing right, I mean, was it always this way for you? Is this sort of your personality, or were things not as good, in the decades past?
Yeah, and there were decades because I'm a lot older than I look, so I'm a fair amount older than you. Anyway, yeah, I think that I was always driven and I was always pretty productive. But in the last few years, since I got involved with high performance work, I would say I'm more productive. I'm much more conscious of my energy and um, my clarity, how, what it takes to be productive. I would power through, I would stay up late, all those things. And yeah, I got it done, but I don't know that I felt so great. And so, it wasn't always like this. I did get a lot done, but I would say that I get a lot done more effectively and from a much more conscious place now, and that's better.
And I imagine that now it's a lot more. I don't know if predictable is the right word, but it's almost like if you want to get some stuff done, like it seems like you're like more dependable on yourself and maybe burn out a lot less compared to sort of going full steam ahead, like the sort of the unfocused way.
Yeah, for sure. Because there are habits like, okay, I've been working for 6 hours and I need a break and I'm going to get on my bike. Because, like you, I don't always go to the gym. I'm going to get on my bike and I'm going to go for a bike ride and let everything go and just relax and have, not even make it a power ride, right? Just go for a ride. Or maybe I really need to power up. Or maybe, I do have a meeting in the morning and I don't know when I'll get to exercise, but I know that if I go and I exercise before that meeting, I'm going to feel better, right? Because exercise releases all kinds of hormones and things that make us feel better and make us feel more confident. So there's that consciousness or deliberateness to it, so that, yeah, I think that I can kind of rely on myself more because I can prepare myself for whatever's next rather than just hoping that I'll be prepared or not knowing if I'll have the energy or not knowing if I'll be courageous enough. I mean, I have the ability to generate that, to not just rely on it showing up, but to actually generate it, because people don't realize that courage, creativity, these are things that energy, these are things we can generate. We're like little power plants, and power plants don't have energy, they generate it. And so we can generate whatever we want if we know how and if we do it deliberately.
I like it, and it just makes me think that going into whatever kind of unknown situation, right, like a phone call with a client or something like that, there's always that sort of unpredictability, and there's always like tons of things that you can't control. But it sounds like if we kind of put these tools to use, we can stack the deck or stack the odds in our favor, so that going into whatever kind of situation, we're sort of doing all those kinds of things right. And as you're kind of explaining that you get on your bike and sort of unwind. I mean, do you ever have any trouble letting go, or just having those periods of unwinding? Because I know that sometimes, especially like if I haven't gone for like a walk in nature or something like that, if I haven't done that for a while, then a walk in nature is usually the exact thing that I need. But it seems like it doesn't always work. Like the usual tricks I have to kind of either kind of let go of the uncertainty or kind of let go of the anxiety or the stress or the anger or whatever. Like sometimes things work, but they don't always work. So I mean, do you have any kind of similar problems or any advice where it's like just sometimes that whole idea of just like letting go doesn't always seem to work for me?
Yeah, and I think that for most of us, there are certain situations, and it's not always work. I mean, entrepreneurs in general, we've got, we're running our businesses, and so it's hard to let go of the work, right? But sometimes it's not just that. Sometimes it could be a relationship issue that you just can't seem to get rid of, and I mean, that it's in your head, right? And so you can't get rid of the thoughts in your head and the emotions, and that's affecting everything. And so, yes, sometimes. Sometimes just going for a bike ride or going to the gym or meditating won't do it for me. And sometimes doesn't do it for my clients. Then I think it comes down to working with your mindset. And this is where mastering your psychology is so important, especially for entrepreneurs, because we need to be able to get conscious of the thoughts that hold us back. And so if something's going on, whether it's work related or related or health related, and your mind just keeps going there over and over and over again, and you just can't let it go, you have to do what actually Tony Robbins says, and you have to affirm that you're the voice. You have a voice in your head and it's talking to you all the time, and it may not be your voice. It could be your parents' voice, your boss's voice, your coworker's voice, the people who work for you's voice, your kid's voice, your wife's voice. You don't want that. You want to be the voice. So you have to affirm over and over again, I'm the voice. I am that voice in my head. And I don't, as Tony Robbins likes to say, I don't negotiate with my mind. And so this is where, yeah, maybe you go for the run and you notice that you're not letting it go. And you say, okay, consciously, I'm going to focus on something else. I'm going to focus on something that makes me feel good, something that makes me feel confident. So it could be affirmations. It could be thinking about the great vacation you had at the beach. It could be anything. It could be visualizing the clients coming in the door, or having the phone calls show up with people buying something. It doesn't really matter, but it's kind of like you saying that you writing your goals down and then looking at them again in the morning and speaking them. Well, why do we do that? So this goes to my book of creative visualization for writers. Why do we do that? Why do we write the goals down and say them over and over again? It's because we want to convince our mind that that's going to happen. So people poo-poo the law of attraction and creative visualization or deliberate creation, all these things. But the fact is that the more you focus on what you want, the more you get it, because you're more likely to move in that direction. And if you're visualizing having something or something working out the way you want it to work out, you're going to have more confidence. Not only that, you fire your brain. Your brain is actually, as you visualize, your brain is firing off these messages to your body. And it begins to get it that this is what's going to happen down the pike. That's why athletes use visualization, because as a marathon runner, visualizes the start of the race, the middle of the race, the feeling of I can't do this. My lungs are killing me, my legs are tired, and then they visualize how they get through that, how they get a burst of energy and they cross the finish line first. Why are they doing that? Because every time they visualize that, their brain sends messages to their body that actually fires the muscles. It's like being in training. There are studies that show that people who visualize actually will perform better than those who don't. But it's no different for an entrepreneur or for a writer or a dancer or any of these people. It's all the same. The more we visualize it, the more our brain and our body get it, that this is real, and they know how to respond. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to plan that response. So if we have a phone call, we want to plan how we're going to persuade somebody or influence them in a positive way to do something. If we're going to run a race, we have to plan that. How are we going to do it? What's going to happen when we get to that spot where it's hard? What are we going to do when we get to that spot where it seems kind of easy, right? So this is very, very important to master your psychology.
I agree completely. And as you're explaining all that, I mean, a few things kind of went into my head. And one is that, it seems like a lot of people out there don't even know what they want, or even if they do, they're not consciously reminding themselves what they do want, so that they're not really focusing on much. And there's that saying, what you focus on grows. So it's like if they're not really building towards anything, they're not going to get much. And then likewise, if we stress out too much, then if we focus on the negative, like if you're running down a path and you're thinking about, okay, there's this hill or this pothole, if you're thinking about the pothole too much, then it's like that'll stress you out too much. And so these are all really good reminders of us to, like, use those tools, use those affirmations or those visualizations. And I mean, as far as the law of attraction, I mean, I agree that a lot of people kind of make fun of it, but I mean, if it works, if it gets the job done, then I mean, who cares if it's real or not, right? And so a lot of what you're saying here is making sense, especially just kind of know that those bad things are there, but then focus on what you do want and not on what you don't want. And we were talking earlier about habits, about how sometimes things take days to kind of stick. And I think that maybe a lot of us, and I mean me included, some of us kind of go with something for a few days and then forget about it or stop doing it, and then we say, oh well, it didn't work. Well, it didn't work because you didn't see it through. So these are all really good reminders, but I don't want to keep you here for too long, and I know that we mentioned your coaching and your books a little bit. So can you sort of tell us about what you have going on? What books do you want us to check out and buy from you, and what kind of websites or coaching offers do you have?
Yeah, sure. That'd be awesome. So my books, you can find all my books at booksbyninaamir.com. Booksbyninaamir.com, and that's NINAAMIR.com. For the writers out there, if you don't know anything about writing and publishing, I suggest you buy the author training manual. It will teach you how to create a marketable book as well as what it takes to be an author and a writer. If you're wanting to get some visibility online, my book, How to Blog a Book, is a great one, especially if you'd like to be an author, but you're looking at ways to use your website and your blog to get you expert status and all of that. And creative visualization for writers is specifically for writers, but actually everything in it pertains to anyone, and you could apply it to things that don't relate to writing. But the writers will enjoy that one. It's a good one. It has a bunch of the high performance tips in it, as well as creativity tips and more. What else? Okay, so you can go to my website at ninaamir.com. Pretty simple, NINAAMIR.com. You will see there that I have my Nonfiction Writers University, which is a great place to go if you're a business person and you want to write books that help you grow your business. There also, I have high performance coaching, both one-on-one. So you can hire me one-on-one, and you'll see that there's a link for that on the site. And there's an application, and you actually get a free session with me, a free hour of high performance coaching, like a strategy session, to see if that's going to work for you and whether it works for me. And I do high performance coaching groups as well. In a few months, there'll be one for entrepreneurs and creatives of all types. It's just sort of a generic high performance coaching, but as a group. I also do that for writers and for dancers, and I always have courses running all the time, Robert. So there's just tons of stuff I have going on. I've just finished a course on authoring change for those who are really wanting to create change in the world or in other people's lives. So, I love working with people who want to make a difference. So there's a lot. They just go to my site, take a look around, and there's free books. I have 3 other sites actually, and every site has something you can download for free. So go there. NinaAmir.com has a book on high performance tips. So yeah, just go to the sites, take a look around, download what's there, and let me know if I can help you.
Super cool. Well, when you were saying that you teach high performance, well, it's clear that you also practice it because you have all this cool stuff happening. So that's great to hear, great to see. So ninaamir.com and booksbyninaamir.com. You can check out the author training manual, how to blog a book, creative visualization for writers, nonfiction writers university. So in all that list or whatever you see on the website, you guys out there listening, I'm sure there's 1 or 2 or 3 things that really grab your attention, or maybe one of the free things, but there's got to be something for you if you're feel like you're ever blocked, capable of more, want to be high performance. You've maybe tried some of these tools in the past but didn't quite apply them right, or maybe there are new tools that we mentioned today that you have heard of or you haven't heard of and need to start using. Well, make sure to go to ninaamir.com. That's NINAAMIR.com, and check out what Nina can provide for you. So just click around and see if there's anything that kind of captures your attention. If you want to focus on the creativity stuff, visualization stuff, writing stuff, whatever it is, grab what makes sense for you, because Nina has quite a library of cool stuff created for you. So make sure that, and even if you're the kind of person where you want to take things to the next level and you want to buy some high performance coaching, then make sure to contact Nina on that website. And we appreciate you listening, and we appreciate you checking out what Nina has for you. So ninaamir.com. And I want to thank you, Nina, for stopping by and sharing just a mix of all kinds of good stuff, from visualization and affirmations and exercising and just doing all these tools that we all need to do if we want to be at our best. The athletes do it, so why shouldn't us entrepreneurs do it as well? So I really appreciate you, and I appreciate you stopping by as well.
Oh, thank you so much. It was an honor to be here, and I enjoyed our conversation, and I hope our listeners go out there and achieve more inspired results in whatever they're doing.
The Robert Plank Show is looking for sponsors. If you have a product, service, book, app, or website that you'd like to promote, contact us at robertplank.com/ask to get more eyeballs on you and your business.